hear how supplements have literally saved my life. This is my life story packed into a little tiny thing, and this is going to be an interactive live. So I'm happy to hear from you, to hear your responses, your reactions to what I'm going to tell you. Um, Alexa, can you let me know if you can hear me now? She probably came in a minute ago and maybe is watching the replay. So, Alexa, I'll look out for you to see if you can hear me. Again, I'm happy to. I'm getting texts probably from you guys telling me about whether or not you can hear. Oh, Audrey can hear. Yay, you can hear. Yay. Okay. Awesome. So anyway, I'm so glad to have you guys here. Now, when you think of supplements, you're probably thinking of things like vitamin D, awesome for winter time. We don't get enough of it when we're inside, right? Maybe you think of vitamin C, really great for the immune system, right? There's other things like probiotics that are really great for our bodies and for gut health. And there's vitamin E, which is great for hormonal health for anybody who's going through perimenopause. So there's some general knowledge things about the way that supplements can help us live our best lives and to feel really good. But I'm not going to tell you about any of those. I'm going to tell you about something really special that I found out about myself that takes a lot of self-discovery. And I want to tell you that you can also do the same thing for yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Oh, Shayna can hear me. Awesome. And tell you guys a little bit about what's gone on with me for the past 37 and but particularly the past 15 years of my life. So I'm just going to start there. About 15 years ago, I was in pretty bad shape. I had been through Weight Watchers a few times. I had been through juice fasts and cleanses. I had gone to acupuncture. I went to Ayurveda specialists. I went to therapy. I went on antidepressants, stimulants, and sleep medication. And I was a vegetarian. I have fluctuated 30 plus pounds up and down since being a teenager. In one school year, my junior, maybe it was my senior year of high school, I went in thin as a rail and I left heavy at one of my heaviest weights. And that's only in a 9 months period of time. And that had a lot to do with what was going on for me. But in general, my metabolism was wrecked because I had poor body image. I was doing really kind of quick solution type things, looking at fad diets even as a teenager and particularly through my 20s. So in addition to my weight, my depression, those fluctuations, and my anxiety, I also developed IBS. I was so constipated in my 20s that I would go days without having a bowel movement. I went to a GI doctor. I had GI imaging done, like an endoscopy and a colonoscopy. He said there's no problem here. So here's another medication on top of all the stuff that I just told you guys. And you know what I really wanted more than anything back then was just to take the struggle out. I wanted the struggle to end. And anybody who's here listening, if you've ever struggled, which we all have, struggle is relative to the body that you're in. And at that time, I was just in the lowest of my low and I needed it to stop. The struggle feeds the core problems that are actually going on in your body and makes it unbearable and unmanageable. It makes us feel like there isn't an end in sight, right? It takes us to our bottom, to where we say something's got to change. And then that's when we dig deep and where we get super curious about what's actually happening for us. And that's what happened to me 15 years ago, where the curiosity started to come in. So this whole story about supplementation ultimately saved my life, but it's also about the years it took me to end the struggle first. I took the next 15 years after that appointment to strip away everything that was getting in my way. Because when you're left with just you, when you're left with all the nutrition you can have, developing good sleep habits, getting a meditation practice, inviting calm into your body, and getting the right exercise, even after you do all of that, what you get is you, authentically you. And so from your place of you, you get to see and explore what you actually need to feel your best if you aren't. So are you guys ready to know about this and the journey that I took to get there? Let me know yes in the comments if you want to hear all about this crazy journey that I took in 20 minutes or less. I'm not going to take all your time. But your adjustments and supplements in your life won't look the same as mine because my life is different from yours, right? But there is a common journey to healing for all of us, and you can go on that to figure out exactly what it is that you need. So let me know in the comments if you're ready to hear about my personal journey to inspire you and the supplements that have actually changed my life and why. Yes, Shayna says, yes, girl. Awesome. Can't wait to share it with you. Can I get another yes? Come on, give me 2 people that want to hear this story. I worked on this all day for you guys. I'm so excited to share it with you. I've never, ever, ever shared it before. Ronnie says, yes! All right, here we go. So I remember, guys, coming home from the GI doctor's office and feeling really angry about that non-answer and another pill. I called my dad. I remember so clearly. He told me to relax with a glass of whiskey. I was doubled over in abdominal pain. I poured the whiskey because I had no answers. I had nothing. Can you guys relate? You have no answers, and so you just give up. You take the bad advice. You take the advice from someone who's trying to do a good job, but you know deep down that it's not going to fix anything, but you're at your wit's end so much that you just take the bad advice. So I sat there begging my body for a bowel movement with a glass of whiskey, sitting on the toilet. I'm not kidding you. Trying to invite relaxation into my body because I didn't know what else to do. I was literally at my wit's end. So if you've ever been at your wit's end and you're like, fuck it, I'm going to take that glass, or I'm going to do this thing because you just don't know what to do anymore, let me know. That's the struggle. I don't care if you're struggling with your stomach issues or with your partner or with anything. That's the struggle in life, and it will drive you to make behavioral choices that don't serve you, right? Shayna said she hates when people say deal with things by pouring a drink. Totally. Story of my life. So my relationship with alcohol and drugs actually started at a really young age. I grew up with my mom, a divorced mother, a bartender, an alcoholic, and using drugs and alcohol was pretty normalized in my home. I was personally diagnosed with depression at 14 years old. I was put on antidepressants at the time, and I used ecstasy as often as I could on the weekends with my friends, and then I went to a combination of alcohol and cocaine when I got into college. It's important for me to tell you what was happening for me there because I wasn't a drug addict, okay? I did have an addiction, but I was looking for a way to balance out my body and to balance out my brain. In my body, I was either full speed ahead or I felt like I was doing nothing, and all I wanted was relief. And I found relief in that way. Eventually, I'd be diagnosed differently as manic depressive around 21 years of age, and I was put on another medication in combination with Adderall and Ambien. So an upper to keep me motivated, and a sleeper to help me sleep, and a mood stabilizer to correct all the in-between, okay? 2 years ago, my grandmother gave up her life to manic depression, and she willed herself to death by refusal to eat. She couldn't go through the ups and downs anymore. So this is something that runs in my family. Today, my mom has chronic pain, she has fatigue, she has a frozen shoulder, and she suffered a stroke 4 years ago at the age of 55. It's important that you guys remember those things, okay? I want you to remember the story of my past, the story that I've gone through, and what I'm doing here to try to figure this out, and how supplements has saved my life. I have from some pretty horrific family patterns. My grandmother also found her father who had committed suicide. So this is something that has run in my family for a very long time. I was on a path to losing my life too. The funny thing is, and my mom and my grandmother did this too. You know what I was thinking about the whole time on the path to losing my life? How am I supposed to lose all this weight? Which is ridiculous, right? There was this huge thing that nobody was talking about that was affecting me my whole life. And on top of it, I'm obsessing about my body weight. And the women that I work with who know the struggle of body image are always thinking that too. But I promise you there are other important things, reasons our bodies are out of balance. And they might be your history, your past, right? It might be familial, and we'll get into that in a minute. But it wasn't until I started looking at my suffering instead of my weight when the truth started to appear. I spent 15 years then reading, studying, and figuring out what removes suffering for any human being. No suffering, that's my goal. Damn it, I don't want anybody to suffer, okay? It doesn't matter how far you've gone or how dire the situation is. Suffering is suffering, and I don't want you to compare it to me or my life or what I've been through or start, going there. But it's all relative. Nobody needs to suffer. So I want to tell you the 3 things that I've learned to remove suffering, first of all. So tell me in the comments if you want to know how to remove suffering, because the solution with supplements only works if you remove the stuff in your way and you know you first. Okay, so let me know if you want to know those 3 things that will lead you to end suffering so that you can safely, happily, confidently use supplements, anything in order to be able to reach optimal health. Because I want you to be able to strip it down to the things that really matter in your life, and I want you to get to know you. So, are you ready for those 3 things? I bet you guys already know what it is because I talk about this all the time. Tell me to take away the madness. Yes. The 3 things to take away suffering is to improve the thoughts that we have about ourselves, the foods that we nourish ourselves with, knowing exactly what foods it takes to thrive, and then the actions that keep us unstuck. Now, this sounds really easy, right? We're surrounded by the influences that keep us stuck in these 3 key ways that I help my clients today, right? So it sounds easy, but the truth is that that kind of stuff. Shayna's gonna come bust down my door. So the problem is that we can't just decide we're gonna have happy thoughts, good food, and take action. That's where we get stuck, right? So let, let me tell you that when I was at the doctor, right? So let's go back to that moment, who was telling me there's nothing wrong with me. Okay? So what's the thought that I have about myself? I'm fucking crazy. There's nothing I can do about the way I feel. I might as well suffer. I was curious about my health, and well, so be it. Guess I'll go back to weight loss. Let's see, what's the latest fad? Right? I was suffering. He told me I didn't have a problem. You know what that does to our mental health? It makes us feel crazy. Like, of course, we don't think there's a solution. You get doubtful. Then you're like, I need to do this. I should do this. Right? And then what does it look like for the foods I put in? I kept looking for the foods to lose weight, not to feel better in my body. I looked for low calorie foods, vegan foods, vegetarian foods, all the while depressed with IBS and sleep disorders. I viewed food as replenishing output, calories out, and then not as a solution to the problem I was having. And then finally, the actions I was trying to control also is energy out and in, only exercise, not sleep, not how I wake up, not how I move through my day, not the rhythm of my body. Okay? So Ronnie says, yes, it must be that I'm effing crazy. Totally, because one professional zooms in on one part of your body and says, there's nothing wrong here. Well, I must be fucking crazy. Right? And then what does that feed the story about ourselves? It's really hard to heal from that place, and then you shove all the other stuff down. So, as far as supplements go, I hadn't healed at all. I wasn't focusing on how I could get to the bottom of the issues I was having based on what I was putting in my body at that time. Low calorie processed food and a lot of alcohol. My body lacked a lot of nutrients. I probably needed hydrochloric acid to break down food, a probiotic to restore my gut, chlorophyll to purge my body of toxins, glutathione to support my liver, and essential and non-essential vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that I wasn't getting from my food. That's like, you guys see my supplement wall over here? That's like everything over here. Right? As I told you, I wasn't well. But it was from there that I developed and started to trust my process. I can't trust what people are telling me. I have to trust my process. So before I even got on to how supplements changed my life, I had to change my thoughts. I stopped thinking about weight loss and I started thinking about feeling better and powerfully handling my life. I changed my foods. The number one thing that got in my way every single time was alcohol. End of story. It took away my ability to powerfully make choices and made me feel guilty every time. Did I drink too much? How much did I drink? Did I drink too early? Am I hungover or am I sick? Right? That whole game that I was playing in my head. I also found out that I had a soy sensitivity. I was a vegan. And so slowly I adopted a diet that still prioritizes vegetables. I'm huge. I love plant or vegetable based, but I definitely thrive on fat and protein, and I don't do well on grains of any kind. And so I was also inviting a life of what I thought was what I was supposed to do instead of what I was learning to do for myself. And then that also helped regulate my hormones, helped me sleep, and of course giving up alcohol helped with all of that. And then I changed my actions. I stopped signing up for crazy workout plans, marathons, and all of that to lose weight, and I started thinking about what actions can I take every day that help me feel good. That's where I arrived at what you guys know me as doing the 2 to 3s and the weightlifting class. Okay? But, let's see, where am I? So, that could be the end of my story, right? Ta-da! If you eat right, you move well, you sleep well, all your problems will be solved. But if that was true, guess what? I wouldn't have a job. So I help people with those 15 years of personal experience, nutrition school, mindset training, and kinesiology to arrive there in a much shorter period of time. And for most people, for 12 to 24 weeks, you get everything you need. And for me, that did put me in the best shape of my life. But in the beginning, I told you how I took 15 years to strip everything away that was getting in my way, right? And I did that. I optimized my energy system, I optimized my diet, I optimized my sleep. I felt so much better. I stopped drinking, I stopped doing drugs. I ate really cleanly and I ate really well. I slept like a baby. So, this is where we get to June this year. I had one of the worst depressive episodes that I've had in a really long time, and I had it privately. I didn't tell my friends. I told my wife once. I just like fell over in a puddle of tears. I was anxious. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even go out for a run because my chest was so heavy and tight. I laid in bed. I cried hysterically. And like all of you, I was also in the middle of a goddamn pandemic. So whether or not that's related, this is something that happens to me sometimes. So here's the weird question, right? How is it possible that you can do all of the things and still suffer? How can you optimize your thoughts, your foods, and your actions, and you're still suffering, right? Why? Why is this happening? And so my curiosity taps in. I can't take it anymore. What's going on? And after having been off meds and drinking for 8 years, I called my doctor for a prescription to Wellbutrin because that's what I was on when I was a teenager. I researched it. I got the lowest dose to try because I just wanted to feel better. And the effect was immediate, actually. I was productive. But immediately, it was a little reminiscent of stimulants that I used to take. I decided to push through the heart palpitations I was having and ringing in my ears. Again, this was just this last June. I was trying this on for myself. And actually, it was after I read Glennon Doyle's book, Untamed. She basically gives permission to be okay with being on antidepressants. And as a person that had taken so long to get off of all that stuff, I took that as a way of leading myself into being okay with it. And I'm really glad I did. And you're going to find out why in just a second. So 3 days after I had started that medication, I broke out into a rash all over my body, head to toe, completely just flushed. And this is in the middle of COVID, so I had a few thoughts. If I go into anaphylaxis, what then? Is this COVID or is it the Wellbutrin? I remember being absolutely terrified and not knowing what's going on with me, but looking up the side effects of the drug, and it said, if you break out in a rash, go to the hospital. And so here I was taking something I'd taken as a teenager that I thought was helpful, and all I wanted to do was feel better, and I was at my wit's end. So my friends talked me off a ledge and just helped me, got me some water, COVID, mask, like no touching or anything like that. And after a half hour, it was okay. But what I realized is that taking that was no longer an option for me, and I was scared, and I didn't know what to do. So what did I do? So for those of you who don't know the other part of my work, I'm an energy kinesiologist. I test the body using muscles for imbalance, and I restore it using affirmations, foods, supplements, lifestyle changes, acupressure, massage, stuff like that. But when you're a healer like that, you spend a lot of time helping other people, and you often forget to help yourself. So that day was a really good reminder. I had done so much work on myself, and yet there was more to be done. It's really hard to face, honestly. I thought I was doing all of the things, and here's where the truth lies. You can do all the things, but our bodies are unique. There are hereditary issues, memories, environments, and actions we take in our life that deplete certain parts of our bodies. So I want to go back to what I told you guys in the beginning. My grandmother was manic depressive. My mom is an alcoholic with frozen shoulder, a stroke survivor. She's in chronic pain, and she can't really take care of herself right now. And I told you guys that supplements saved my life. And so this is the key part right here. At that point, taking care of all the things of myself, I did some personal investigating on my own by doing energetic self-testing for low dopamine, okay? Which is why I have a lack of motivation sometimes. I just have low dopamine. It's also why I really love coffee. It turns out that what my body actually needed was phenylalanine, which produces tyrosine, an amino acid that can be used to make new proteins, or it can be converted into epinephrine and norepinephrine, the fight or flight response, and dopamine. So that's what's involved in feelings of pleasure for your brain, memory, learning skills, right? All of those things that I was trying to be medicated for before. So it turns out that I have low dopamine, and I didn't create the right amino acids profile in order to allow that to happen. Okay. So this is what I was dealing with, what I was trying to self-medicate, right? It's only one part of the puzzle. It turns out that if you're deficient in tyrosine, you probably also have low blood pressure. So this is me putting all this together this summer, which is crazy to me. I have been known to have low blood pressure. I get ocular migraines from it. I had it severely during my pregnancy. So holy crap, one part of the puzzle. I have low dopamine, and I need my body to create tyrosine. Fortunately, there are supplements that you can get online in order to create that. Here's the other thing, it's crazy. Foods high in amino acids, but particularly tyrosine, are meat and poultry. Remember, guys, I was a vegetarian. I was not getting enough of that. And while soy does have a complete amino acid profile, I have a sensitivity, so my body wasn't absorbing it. So in combination today, one of the supplements that has changed my life is phenylalanine, tyrosine, and 5-HTP, which is hydrotryptophan, and that produces serotonin, so that helps balance mood. Okay? All of those things are a part of what was creating a lot of the suffering for me. And I was adapting these diets that didn't give me what I needed in order to create that. So right now, I'm trying to put that stuff in and rebuild all of that inside of my body. So there's more to this puzzle. Why am I low in these amino acids? Here's something crazy, okay? I've had shoulder pain since Jillian was 2 years old, sometimes unbearable. I went to PT, massage therapist, all of that to get better with a little bit of relief, right? And I figured one day I'll probably just have to get surgery on it. But here's the thing about the body and what I've learned from working with the energetic body. I know that pain isn't always structural. That doesn't always mean that it's like something's wrong with the muscle, right? It's your body speaking. There's something going on there. So I went to my energy kinesiologist, and he found a B vitamin deficiency using the work that we do by testing my shoulder in this position, which is actually for the heart meridian. That's important to remember. And my muscle was under stress, and it was under stress for nutritional means. B vitamins are associated in my work with the heart meridian, okay? And so because of that, he also suggests that I get a blood test and get tested for what's called the MTHFR mutation. What the heck is that? This uncommon gene mutation prevents a biochemical process that helps B vitamins properly methylate in order to convert homocysteine into amino acids, okay? High homocysteine in the blood is an indication of a deficiency of B12 or folate, and it leads to arterial damage. The heart meridian muscle was out. He said, go get tested for this, and higher than normal LDL levels. Guys, I eat so clean. I exercise every day. High homocysteine is from high alcohol, smoking, poor diet, right? High LDL with really bad cholesterol, little exercise, all that stuff was high in my blood results. And all of that came from me asking about my shoulder pain from my energy kinesiologist. So here's the thing. I got blood tested, okay? I had high homocysteine in my blood. Okay, that's not a good thing. And I did in fact have the MTHFR mutation, this rare mutation, which was making all of that high. I was in danger of arterial damage. I'm 37 years old. So all this stuff came out from a shoulder pain, right? And I'm not kidding you. What I ended up having to take, it's so simple, is methylated B vitamins because my body won't methylate it on its own. So when I take methylated B vitamins, within 30 days, my shoulder pain's gone. I have had this chronic pain since Jillian was 2 years old. So again, it's called the MTHFR mutation. You can look it up, and you can get blood tested for it. And that was causing all of these issues in my body. But I'm gonna blow your mind again. You guys want to know the other symptoms of an MTHFR mutation other than high homocysteine and a B deficiency and shoulder pain? This is the part that's going to blow your mind. Tell me. Shayna's going to bust through here again. I'm going to tell you guys. MTHFR if you have that mutation and you can't methylate B vitamins on your own, and you have to take methylated B vitamins, that mutation, which is hereditary, remember my mom and my grandmother, causes chronic pain and fatigue, stroke, depression, insomnia, and bipolar disorder. Jesse takes it too. Okay. Alexa's going to join in with Shayna and bust through my door. If you have that mutation, guys, this is what my whole family has been struggling with. Suicide, bipolar disorder. My mom has a frozen shoulder. Has a frozen shoulder. I'm laughing what Shannon's saying. Has a frozen shoulder today. Right? She won't listen to me. She's an alcoholic. All right? So I'm really glad you guys are here to listen to this entire story. Do you guys see this? My family suffers from a long line of mood disorders and alcoholism, and I did too. My mom had a stroke at 55 years old and has chronic pain in her shoulder and fatigue. I tested for a hereditary gene mutation that leads to all of that I have control over by taking methylated B vitamins. And all that time that I wasn't taking methylated B vitamins, I spent suffering, right, in all of that time, and I'm rebuilding those amino acid profiles with tyrosine and other amino acids that help support me. Yeah, Michelle says I'm breaking the cycle. Thank you. It's true, right? But that didn't start with me suffering and then throwing a bunch of things on top of it. It started with me taking away the layers of stress and getting my body to a point where I was functioning so well that when I felt off, I knew something had to be wrong, right? When we can optimize the thoughts, the foods, and the actions in our life to a point, and then we say, wait, there's still something wrong here, that's where supplementation can help you and maybe even save your life, because something's still wrong, right? Without the right B vitamins, my body wasn't properly functioning my whole life. And it's highly likely that my mom and my grandmother too. And that whole time spent in alcoholism, depression, bipolar disorder, anxiety, self-medicating with all of that, and going vegan, depleted my body's system. Shayna says, we're not a slave to our family's health history. We can choose to change the course. You're absolutely right. So many women are like, oh, high cholesterol runs in my family. Oh, diabetes runs in my family. Oh, depression and all of that runs in my family. Yes, and let's figure it out together, right? And it starts with, as long as you're optimizing the things that you're putting in and the actions you're taking for yourself, then you get to see the truth, right? So when I tell you guys that supplements have literally saved my life, what I mean is that I broke an insane, in Michelle's words, cycle in my family. I cleaned up my thoughts, my foods, and my actions, and I was living my best life. And if you do this and you still feel bad, it's possible to save your own life with the right supplements or nutrition in order to fill those deficiencies, whatever they are. It doesn't have to take 15 years. I did all that hard work for you. So if you're here listening in and anything that I said with you resonated, send me a PM. There's a lot of different ways that I help my clients. I have my 12-week program, which, my other personal story with weight loss is really wrapped around cycling through fad diets and just being sick and tired of that and using diets to control these other things in my life. So if that sounds like you, then that program could also be for you. Otherwise, I have my private kinesiology practice here where you come and sit comfortably on a table or lie down, and we figure out what supplements your body might need to bring it back into energetic balance. Happy to talk to you about that. But, at the end of the day, it's a process, and you have to trust your process, right? And I know you probably can't imagine what it would be like to do all of the things and still feel a little suffering. And I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be that way. So if you guys have any questions for me about that story and about everything I've been through, my family's been through, and where I've arrived here today, you can drop them in the comments. I'll hang out here with you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. If you're curious about that mutation, I'll just put it in here. It's called the MTHFR mutation. You can actually get that checked, I believe, through like a 23andMe. I did it at my doctor's office. So once my kinesiologist said, hey, why don't you check on this mutation? I just went to my doctor's office. You're welcome, Jesse. And had them test my blood. So I test for high homocysteine. I got my cholesterol tested, and I got tested for that mutation. So again, and it's methylated B vitamins that the body needs in order to be able to feel good with that. So you know, vegan and a vegetarian diet can be really great for some people, but I made the mistake of thinking that that was going to help me live my healthiest life. So my other thing is, guys, like, don't subscribe to a diet. Like, choose the foods, right? I say this all the time. Choose the foods that help you thrive, not the diet. Not even a paleo diet works for me. I can't have almonds. So there's no one size fits all thing. The best thing to do is to go as unprocessed as possible and then go from there, right? Unprocessed, I would even say don't even have beans and legumes for a period of time. And then if you feel good, bring them back in and see what happens to your body. Like, a lot of this stuff is so subtle and you don't even realize it. Oh, you're welcome, Lindsay. Oh, Shannon, yeah, let's go over your 23andMe. Oh, you got the full health report. Nice. Yeah, I did too. I just did mine for the first time. Really interested to see that. You're welcome, Alexa. Yeah. Yeah, and it's amazing that that journey was so long, right? 15 years. I'm like, I got it. I do all the things. Why do I feel like this? It's definitely frustrating. So, let's see, what else can I share with you guys as you pop off the live. Okay, I see the number dropping down. It was so nice to have you here, and I really appreciate you listening to the story in full. What we have the capacity to change in ourselves is really magnificent, and it starts with small, simple choices, but definitely with our foods, but 1,000% your thoughts, right? Don't let people tell you you're crazy. Don't let them tell you that you don't have a problem, because there might be one that's just not clear to that specialist, right? To the gastro guy. So one of the benefits of working with a coach, or particularly an integrative health coach like myself, is that I do look at the entire body, not just one thing. So I'm not just a gut health coach. My gut health is actually completely related to my brain health, and that being not okay. So once I got that on board, there is a gut-brain connection. All that kind of stuff really resolved itself. I do take a probiotic sometimes just to keep things nice and healthy, but in general, just those amino acids and the B vitamins are really helpful for me. You're welcome, Ronnie. Good. All right, guys, I'm going to pop off here. It was so nice having you on the live. I appreciate you again. And this will be available on the replay for anybody who wants to come back and visit. See you later.